When you feel completely and utterly trapped, like you're stuck in a hole that you dug yourself and there's just no way out, what's the first move? Well, we're about to break down a really powerful spiritual framework from a sermon by Apostle Joshua Selman. It's basically a guide for navigating a personal crisis and finding your way to deliverance. It is such a sinking feeling, isn't it? That moment you kind of look around and you realize you're in a total mess, financially, in your relationships, spiritually, and it just hits you that your own choices got you there. The real question isn't just how you got in, but is there even a way out? So the sermon we're digging into, it lays out a very specific spiritual formula. And this isn't about wishful thinking either. We're talking about a series of intentional steps that are designed to shift you from that place of crisis to a place of restoration. So what exactly are those steps? Come on, let's unpack them.
Okay, so you're in the hole, life's broken down. What now? According to this sermon, your very first response is actually the most critical one you're going to make. So what's the real obstacle here? Well, according to this teaching, it's not the situation itself, it's our own pride. You know that instinct to say, I got this, or I'll figure it out myself? That's what actually keeps us digging the hole deeper instead of looking up for a way out. Okay, so if pride is the lock on the door keeping you stuck, what's the key? Well, the sermon introduces the first crucial principle. It's total opposite, humility, or as it's called here, brokenness. And this is where that internal battle really comes into view. On one side, you've got pride, which is just insisting on self-reliance. And the sermon says that only leads to more foolishness. But then on the other side, you've got brokenness, which is admitting defeat and crying out for mercy. And that is presented as the very thing that moves the heart of God. And this leads to this really powerful, kind of counterintuitive idea. We always think of stability as standing strong, right? But the sermon argues that in a spiritual crisis, true stability comes from a position of complete surrender. I mean, think about it. You can't fall any further when you're already on your knees. What a powerful image of surrender this is. It's not about trying to fix yourself before you ask for help. It's about gathering the shattered pieces of your life, your reputation, your finances, whatever is left, and just laying them down in a simple plea for mercy. So you bring all the broken pieces. You surrender. What happens next? Well, the sermon introduces this incredible analogy for God's role in this whole process. Just imagine a surgeon's hands, so steady and precise, mending what's broken from the inside out. That's the picture the sermon paints. It's a process of quiet, internal restoration that starts the very moment you surrender, even if you can't see any movement on the surface of your life just yet. But wait, personal surrender is only the first step. The sermon now brings in a second, external element that it claims is absolutely necessary for you to get complete deliverance. And this is where the teaching takes a really critical turn. It asks a tough question. What happens when a situation is so deep, so dire, that your personal prayers alone, they just aren't cutting it? To explain this, the sermon uses this just profound analogy. You can be an expert, a midwife, who is skilled at helping other people through their toughest moments. But when it's your turn to deliver, you have to humbly submit to the help of another. It's a powerful reminder that absolutely no one is above the need for help. So how does this whole prophetic intervention thing actually work? Well, the sermon lays out this pretty clear path. It starts with your own prayer for sure, but it requires the humility to recognize when you need more. Then you seek out a spiritual leader, and it's their prophetic word, a specific, divinely inspired declaration spoken over your life that acts as the final key to unlocking your freedom. And listen, this isn't just a suggestion. The sermon presents it as a divinely designed system. The idea is that there's a spiritual order, and to receive a blessing from a spiritual authority, we have to set our pride aside and humbly position ourselves to receive it. So, what's the ultimate goal of all of this? I mean, after the brokenness and the intervention, the sermon paints a picture of the final destination, complete and total restoration. The sermon pulls from the words of the prophet Isaiah here. And the tragedy he was describing wasn't just that the people were in holes. The tragedy was that there was no one speaking the word restore over them. It's such a powerful point about the need for an external voice to come in and break the cycle of calamity. And the restoration that's promised here is all-encompassing. We're not just talking about getting back on your feet. We're talking about a full recovery of everything that was lost. Your honor, your relationships, your finances, even your spiritual grace. But what about the one thing you can never really get back? Lost time. The sermon tackles this with a fascinating concept of two spiritual forces. Restoration is said to bring what you lost in the past into your present. But then, a force called speed gets added to the mix to accelerate you forward. So you don't just catch up, you actually move far ahead. And so, as we wrap this all up, it really comes back to this one central question. This entire spiritual framework, from brokenness to prophecy to restoration, it's all built on a foundation of humility. It leaves us with a really powerful thought to consider. What if our greatest strength isn't found in rugged self-reliance, but in the courage to finally say, I need help?